The most disturbing aspect of this case isn't just that Eastern State Penitentiary is considered one of America's most haunted locations. It's that the spirits of thousands of inmates who suffered and died within its walls seem to have never left, creating a supernatural prison where the boundary between the living and the dead has completely dissolved. From shadow figures stalking the cell blocks to malevolent presences that physically attack visitors, this abandoned Philadelphia prison has become a nightmare realm where Halloween brings out the most terrifying paranormal activity ever documented. Viewer discretion is advised. If you're fascinated by paranormal investigations and documented hauntings, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications turned on for more incredible stories like this one. Rising from the streets of Philadelphia like a medieval fortress, Eastern State Penitentiary stands as one of the most haunted locations in America. This massive stone structure operated as a revolutionary prison from 1829 to 1971, witnessing more human suffering and despair than perhaps any other building in the United States. What makes Eastern State particularly terrifying is not just the brutal conditions that inmates endured for over 140 years, but the fact that their tortured spirits seem to have remained trapped within its crumbling walls, creating a supernatural nightmare that intensifies dramatically during Halloween season. Eastern State Penitentiary was designed as a radical experiment in criminal justice, implementing a system of solitary confinement that was intended to inspire penitence and rehabilitation in criminals. The prison's innovative radial design featured 7 cell blocks extending like spokes from a central hub, allowing guards to monitor all areas from a single location. Each cell was designed to house a single inmate in complete isolation, with only a small exercise yard and brief visits from clergy to break the monotony of solitary existence. The reality of life at Eastern State was far more brutal than its idealistic designers had envisioned. Inmates were subjected to complete sensory deprivation, spending 23 hours a day in tiny cells with only a Bible for company. They were forbidden from speaking to other prisoners, guards, or visitors, and were required to wear hoods whenever they left their cells to prevent them from seeing other parts of the prison or recognizing fellow inmates. This system of absolute isolation drove many prisoners to madness, suicide, and violent outbursts that often resulted in even harsher punishments. The prison's punishment methods were particularly cruel and inhumane. Inmates who violated rules were subjected to the water bath, where they were doused with ice-cold water and left naked in their cells during winter months. Others were strapped into the mad chair, a restraint device that held prisoners motionless for days until circulation was cut off and limbs became gangrenous. The iron gag was perhaps the most horrific punishment, involving a metal device that was locked around an inmate's tongue and connected to their wrists, so that any movement would cause the tongue to be torn and lacerated. During its 142 years of operation, Eastern State housed some of America's most notorious criminals, including bank robber Willie Sutton and gangster Al Capone. However, it was the thousands of unknown inmates who suffered in anonymity that seem to have left the strongest supernatural imprint on the prison. Many prisoners died within the walls from disease, suicide, violence, and the psychological trauma of prolonged isolation. Their bodies were often buried in unmarked graves on the prison grounds, and their stories were forgotten by history. The first reports of paranormal activity at Eastern State began surfacing in the 1940s, when guards and inmates reported seeing shadowy figures moving through the cell blocks at night. These apparitions appeared to be former prisoners still walking their daily routines, unaware that they had died decades earlier. Guards reported hearing disembodied voices calling out from empty cells, the sound of footsteps echoing through abandoned corridors, and the clanging of cell doors opening and closing on their own. After the prison closed in 1971, the paranormal activity intensified dramatically. Urban explorers and vandals who broke into the abandoned facility reported terrifying encounters with supernatural entities that seemed angry and aggressive. Unlike the melancholy spirits reported during the prison's operation, these post-closure encounters involved malevolent presences that physically attacked intruders, leaving scratches, bruises, and psychological trauma. Cell Block 12 has gained particular notoriety as the most haunted area of the prison. This section housed the most violent and mentally unstable inmates during the prison's operation, and visitors today report an overwhelming sense of malevolence and despair when entering the block. Many people have fled the area after experiencing sudden temperature drops, the feeling of invisible hands grabbing at them, and the sound of tortured screaming echoing from empty cells. The phenomenon known as shadow people is frequently reported throughout Eastern State, particularly during Halloween season. These dark, human-shaped figures appear to move with purpose and intelligence through the prison corridors, often following visitors or appearing in peripheral vision before vanishing when directly observed. Unlike typical ghost sightings, these shadow figures seem to interact with the physical environment, opening doors, moving objects, and creating disturbances that can be captured on recording equipment. One of the most documented supernatural hotspots is Cell Block 6, where visitors and paranormal investigators have reported seeing the apparition of a figure running back and forth in the cells. This spirit, believed to be a former inmate who suffered a complete mental breakdown from solitary confinement, appears to be trapped in an endless cycle of pacing and agitation. Witnesses describe seeing a translucent figure moving frantically from wall to wall, occasionally stopping to stare directly at observers before resuming its tormented routine. The prison's hospital wing has also become a focal point for paranormal activity. This area treated inmates who suffered physical and mental breakdowns from the harsh conditions, and many prisoners died here from disease, untreated injuries, and suicide attempts. Visitors report seeing the spirits of former patients lying in empty beds, hearing the sounds of medical equipment that was removed decades ago, and encountering the ghost of a nurse who appears to still be making her rounds caring for long-dead patients. Al Capone's cell has become one of the most visited locations in the prison, not just for its historical significance, but for the paranormal activity reported there. Unlike other areas of the prison, Capone's cell seems to be haunted by a more benevolent presence, possibly the gangster himself. Visitors report feeling a sense of calm and even humor in the cell, along with the smell of expensive cigars and the sound of 1920s music playing softly. Some have reported seeing the apparition of a well-dressed man sitting on the cell's furniture, reading a newspaper, or playing cards. The most terrifying aspect of Eastern State's hauntings is the way the paranormal activity seems to respond to and intensify around Halloween. During October, the prison hosts Halloween Nights, a popular haunted attraction that draws thousands of visitors. However, staff and performers report that the artificial scares of the Halloween event pale in comparison to the genuine supernatural phenomena that occur during this time. Many actors have quit after experiencing real paranormal encounters that were far more frightening than anything in their scripted performances. Professional paranormal investigators who have studied Eastern State consider it one of the most active haunted locations in the world. The prison has been featured on numerous television shows including Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, and Most Haunted, with investigators capturing compelling evidence of supernatural activity, including electronic voice phenomena, temperature anomalies, and unexplained electromagnetic disturbances. The scientific community remains divided about the paranormal claims surrounding Eastern State. Skeptics point to the power of suggestion, the deteriorating condition of the building, and the psychological impact of knowing the prison's brutal history as explanations for reported phenomena. However, the consistency and intensity of supernatural reports from multiple independent witnesses over many decades suggests that something genuinely unexplained is occurring within the prison walls. recent investigations have focused on the possibility that the extreme emotional trauma experienced by thousands of inmates over 142 years may have created what paranormal researchers call a psychic imprint on the location. This theory suggests that intense human suffering can leave a permanent mark on a place, causing past events to replay like recordings for sensitive individuals to perceive. The isolation, despair, and violence that characterize daily life at Eastern State may have created one of the strongest psychic imprints ever documented. The prison's current status as a historic site and museum has allowed for more systematic study of the paranormal phenomena. The Eastern State Penitentiary Historic Site offers both educational tours about the prison's history and special events that acknowledge its reputation as a haunted location. This unique approach allows visitors to learn about the real human suffering that occurred within the walls while also experiencing the supernatural legacy that suffering has left behind. Today, Eastern State Penitentiary continues to attract visitors from around the world who come to experience both its historical significance and its paranormal activity. The prison serves as a powerful reminder of the evolution of the American criminal justice system and the importance of humane treatment of prisoners. However, for those brave enough to enter its haunted corridors, Eastern State offers something more disturbing, a glimpse into a realm where the boundary between life and death has been permanently shattered by human cruelty and suffering. The spirits that inhabit Eastern State Penitentiary represent more than just ghost stories. They are the lingering evidence of a failed experiment in criminal justice that caused immeasurable psychological damage to thousands of human beings. Whether these supernatural phenomena are genuine manifestations of the dead or psychological projections of collective trauma, they serve as a haunting reminder that some wounds to the human spirit may never heal, and some suffering may echo through eternity. If you found this paranormal investigation as compelling and disturbing as we did, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel with notifications turned on. We explore the most intriguing ghost stories and supernatural mysteries from around the world, bringing you cases that challenge our understanding of life, death, and what may lie beyond. Your support helps us continue investigating these incredible phenomena. Until next time, remember that some places hold so much human suffering that they become windows into realms beyond our understanding, and the spirits of the past may be trying to tell us something about the consequences of cruelty and the enduring power of the human soul.